Day 149. Today's gospel reminded me to look at my own heart first. There was a time when I was quick to react, especially when conversations turned controversial. I had opinions, strong ones, and I felt the need to defend them. But now, when I hear people speak, especially on sensitive topics, I sometimes see my old self in them. And instead of adding fuel to the fire, I pause, I listen, I process quietly. Today I choose not to win arguments, but to keep my heart gentle. Maybe that's what the gospel invites us to, not to judge too quickly, because we are all works in progress. Amen. Day 150. Whatever you did for the least of my brothers, you did for me. Sometimes when we show care to others, they worry they cannot give anything back. But I've learned their willingness to receive is already a gift. Because love is not a transaction. It is a moment shared between two hearts. One offering, one trusting enough to accept. They may think they are the ones benefiting, but they don't always realize that their openness brings quiet joy to the heart of the giver too. So if you feel down or heavy today, you might try a small act of kindness, not as a cure, not as a rule, but as a gentle opening toward light. And if you are the one receiving, know that your openness may be the blessing someone else needed. Amen. Day 151. Maybe we need to start a new culture, one where we pause and ask ourselves the hard questions. Instead of rushing to say, it's okay. What if we gently ask, why did this hurt me? Because when we understand the pain, we understand our boundaries. Some of us grew up around disrespect, so often that it began to feel normal. But familiar does not mean healthy, and silence does not mean peace. If something feels off, it may be your nervous system sensing what your mind has not yet named, and that signal deserves to be honored. Unprocessed hurt does not disappear, it grows. It turns into anger, shouting, sometimes even harm that entangles everyone involved. But when we pause, reflect, and name the wound, we create space for healing instead of reaction. So today I choose honesty with my own heart, to listen, to learn, to honor what I cannot tolerate, because awareness is where healing begins. Amen. Day 152. I've been thinking, when we were born into this world, our default state is pure, capable of love, kindness, and trust. Then life shapes us. We learn from the people who raised us, how to speak, how to cope, how to love, how to protect ourselves. Whether we realize it or not, we carry those imprints. But at some point in adulthood, we begin to recognize that while our past shaped us, it does not have to define our future. We are given the power to choose healing instead of repeating, to choose kindness even when it wasn't shown to us, to choose love not as a reaction, but as a way of being. People may judge what they see, but no one truly knows the heart except God. Today I choose to be good, to be kind, to be loved, and to remember, love is who I've always been. Amen. Day 153. Today I placed volunteer flyers in waiting sheds, in front of a school, and at the municipal hall. I did it because 2 years ago I was the one searching. I walked into a church hoping to serve, but I didn't know who to approach. And I wondered why there was no clear place to begin. So today I tried to become that door. Maybe someone passing by is looking for something to do, something meaningful, something that reminds them they can make a difference. Maybe they are waiting for a simple invitation. Maybe they just need to know they are welcome. Even if one person finds their place through this small act, then a question from my past has become a bridge for someone else. Love does not stay inside walls. It goes out, waits where people are, and gently says, "You belong here." Amen. Day 154. The priest talked about loving your enemies and praying for those who persecute you, and it made me pause and reflect. Do normal people really have enemies, or do we simply encounter wounded hearts, including our own? Sometimes we become the enemy in someone else's story, not because we did something wrong, but because our presence touches a wound they haven't healed. Their insecurity meets our growth. Their fear meets our boundaries. Their pain meets our limitations. And suddenly, there is tension. But not everyone who opposes us is truly our enemy. Sometimes they are simply hurting. This doesn't mean we allow mistreatment. It doesn't mean we remove boundaries. It means we refuse to let hatred take root in our hearts. Because loving our enemies is not about pretending harm didn't happen. It's about choosing not to become bitter. It's about praying for healing, theirs and ours. Today, I choose compassion with wisdom, boundaries with grace, and a heart that remains free from hate. Amen. Day 155. The priest spoke about the transfiguration when the disciples witnessed Jesus in glory on the mountain. Peter wanted to build shelters to remain in that sacred moment, to stay a little longer. And I understand it now. We've all experienced moments that felt peaceful and beautiful. A retreat, a vacation, a quiet prayer. And we whisper, "I wish I could stay here longer." But if we stayed, life would still bring its challenges. Our struggles would still follow us. So maybe the question is not, how do I stay here? But what did I experience here that I am missing in my daily life? Was it peace, slowness, connection, a sense of being fully present? We cannot stay on the mountain. We cannot be on vacation forever. But those moments reveal what our hearts long for and what we can begin to nurture in our daily life. Amen. Day 156. Give and it will be given to you. We've heard this many times. But in our time, we are learning to go deeper because many givers, generous, kind, selfless, end up exhausted, used, silently resentful. And that is not the life Jesus invites us into. We are not called to give until we're empty. We are called to give from love with wisdom. Your body knows when you've given enough. Your heart knows when you need rest. Your limits are not lack of generosity. They are part of faithful stewardship. To give according to our capacity means we honor the budget God has given us. Our time, energy, attention, and emotional strength. Because when we give from overflow, we remain joyful, we remain free, we remain able to love again tomorrow. Today let us give, not from pressure, not from guilt, but from a grounded, discerning heart. For love that is wise is love that endures. Amen. Day 157. Today I'll be honest. It stings to put yourself out there, to care, to initiate, to serve, and feel like the response is just meh. There's that quiet moment where I think, why did I even risk that? And the funny thing is, I understand, because I was once like that too. When others stepped up, I stayed quiet. Not because I didn't care, but because I was busy, unsure, or simply not ready. So maybe the silence isn't rejection. Maybe it's just timing. Still, there's a heart check for me. Am I serving because I want to be affirmed, or because love is still the right thing to do, even when it's unseen? Rejection doesn't mean I was wrong. It might just mean I was brave. So today I won't let the stain turn into bitterness. I'll let it refine me instead. Less ego, more sincerity, less performance, more purpose. Lord, keep my heart soft, not dependent on praise or rejection, but anchored in you. Amen. Day 158. Sometimes when you try to serve, to help, or to put something out there, the response can feel very quiet, almost like meh. And in those moments, it's easy to think, did I do something wrong? Did people not like it? But today I realized something. Maybe the silence isn't about me. We really don't know what people are going through. Some people are tired, some are carrying problems, some appreciate things but just don't know how to respond. Not every silence is rejection. Sometimes it's just life happening on the other side, and that helped my heart soften. So today I remind myself, serve because it is good. Serve because it is love, not because of the reaction we receive. Because when our intention is sincere, that is already enough. Lord, help me serve with a peaceful heart, not measuring my actions by people's responses. Amen. Day 159. Today's Gospel is the story of the rich man and Lazarus. And when I think about it, many of us today are probably closer to the rich man. Not because we are bad people, but because many of us already have enough. We have food, a place to sleep, and opportunities that many people in the world do not have. But the rich man's problem was not simply that he was rich. It was that he stopped noticing the person at his gate. Maybe today's gospel is reminding us to simply notice the people around us. Our neighbor, our house help, our co-workers, the vendors, the guard, the sales lady, the street people. Not necessarily to solve all their problems, but at least to see them beyond their roles. Sometimes we can help, sometimes we cannot. That's where discernment comes in. But even when we cannot do much, we can still choose kindness. Because in the end, what we keep in this life will pass and be forgotten. But the love we give is what truly lasts. Amen. Day 160. Today's gospel talks about the tenants in the vineyard. And I realized something. The real problem was ownership. They forgot the vineyard was never theirs. It was only entrusted to them. And when you think about it, this is true for our lives too. Our body is not really ours. Our children are not ours. Our pets are not ours. Even our land, our house, none of it is truly ours. Everything is entrusted to us by God for a time. But there is one thing that is truly ours, our response to God. Our love, our faithfulness, our willingness to care for what He has entrusted to us. So let us remember this and simply become good stewards. Amen.